Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to see we have a good turnout for today's credit repair class. Hopefully, everyone's doing good today. As usual, if you don't mind, turn your cameras on or they're off because I don't like staring at blank screens. I do appreciate it. Besides, you have to get comfortable in front of the camera to begin with. So, listen, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and then that is, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that a lot of agents, if you don't credit qualify today, they discard you. And that's the biggest reason that agents are labeled as used car salesmen, right? This is a relationship business. Now, there's only so much that you can do. So, in other words, sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. But I think it's our job as professionals to guide and coach people into home ownership. Now, we all can agree that there is a high percentage of people that come through that can't buy a house. The biggest reason behind that, and yes, you can quote me by saying this, it's because they had a poor parental upbringing, period. They were not taught about credit. They were not taught about the importance of paying your bills. And this society has made it so easy to buy a property that they feel that they don't have to pay their bills. Let me give you some contrast. In Europe, if you wanted to buy a house in Europe, first of all, it is the epitome of adulthood. So when you save up enough money and you buy a house, you have arrived. Everyone there has a 700 plus credit score. Now, it's not the exact same scoring system that we use, but equivalent. And they put 20% down, period. Can anyone guess what their default ratio is? It's less than 0.5%. Now, let's look at the United States of America. Yeehaw. It got to a point that if you could breathe and fog a mirror, I can get you into a house, especially before the crash. I am 5,000% guilty with the rest of those mortgage brokers of pushing people through that probably shouldn't have been pushed through. But hey, the lender was paying me. Wasn't my problem, right? Literally, at one point, we had programs called W-2 stated. Now, what that means is you are a W-2 earner. On paper, you made $30,000 a year, but your credit was good. So you had a side hustle that you didn't have to prove, cutting grass on the weekends to make an extra 40 grand. And they will push that darn thing through, showing that you made $70,000. I am guilty of putting people that worked at McDonald's through properties that probably shouldn't be buying properties. Well, the market said we can't do that no more. So they made some corrections. So in today's environment, people aren't taught the importance of credit, paying their bills, so on and so forth, because they know their friend who just bought a house, that person had bad credit. So I believe that eventually these people are going to buy a house sooner or later. And if they are going to buy, it needs to be with me. Now, let me put a disclaimer. I'm not attracting these people. I don't like physically want them. It's not that I'm like, listen, if you got bad credit, I'm your guy. I'm not advertising that. I'm not saying, listen, 400 score, come to me. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if we spent money on marketing, we spent hours on advertising, we spent energy in a file, and it comes across my desk, I got two things I can do with it. I can shuffle them through and go, you have good credit, bad credit, and find me one that has good credit and discard those people. Or I can be the adult, be the realtor, be the leader, and educate that person what it takes to get into a home. Are we all on the same page so far? Now, this is what normally happens with the average agent. They send their person to the lender, right? And then the lender pulls the credit, comes back and says that they're not buying anytime soon. And the lender has a credit scoring model. And what they can do is they can play around with some numbers, and the system will tell them, well, if they paid off this card or they did this or they did that, then their score should go to here. It's not 100% accurate. It's pretty darn close. And typically what a lender will do is they will send the person an email that says, hey, I'm sorry you don't qualify today. You're a 560. We need to get you up to a 620 these are the items that I need you to do. I need you to pay off this collection. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Well, we got like a $3,000 collection here and a $4,000 collection there. The chance of them doing that, nil. The percentage of people that you send to a lender that the lender gives advice on how to repair their credit and then come back to you that actually close, it's very, very, very small. If you have anyone that actually had made that happen, please make me aware, because it's just it's a unicorn. But there's ways to quote unquote fix people's credits that the lenders don't want you to know about. You see, the lender has recourse, i.e., they want the person to pay the mortgage, because if they don't pay the mortgage, they got to foreclose, right? So they're not going to teach them what I'm about to teach you right now. Now, full disclaimer, there is a big difference on the moral side of you should pay your bills and what's actually on your credit report. So I'm not advocating that we circumvent things, but I am going to tell you about the law. And sometimes the law can be to our favor. And the law, which is the Federal Credit Protection Act, specifically says, Debt Collection Procedure Act, specifically states that you have the right to dispute anything on your credit report. Anything. Foreclosure, bankruptcy, collections, charge-offs, you have the right to dispute it. And by law, the credit bureaus must respond to you within the first 30 days with the results of their investigation. Now, I want you to pretend that you are Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. You have a major corporation. You get hundreds and thousands of these letters on a daily basis. Do you think you have the manpower to open that letter, read it, investigate, and respond within 30 days? You do not. But they must respond within 30 days. So what do? They lessen their load. What they do is they will send the consumer, the person disputing it, an initial blow-off letter. It will say something like, "We received your letter. Thank you. We have looked into your concerns and we find our report to be true and accurate. Have a great day." And the vast majority of people that do credit repair will send a letter to the credit bureaus. They get that response and they go, "Well, I tried." But what they don't understand is that letter was the blow-off letter. So the question is what happens round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5? That's where credit repair companies come into play, because they know what can or can't be done. Newsflash, last year, Congress, one of the only good things they actually did, it's another whole story. They passed a new law that basically states that a collection company does not have the right to report on your credit report. So if someone owed Capital One a credit card that charged off, and now they sold it to Midland Funding, who is a junk debt collector, Midland Funding does not have the legal right to put it on your credit report. And by citing a few laws, the bureaus have to actually take it off. Now, that doesn't change the fact that they actually owe the money, but it does change the fact that it's actually on the report. So there's two things that have to happen in order to get people's scores up. The first way is the slow and painful rate. Every 7 years, your credit basically refreshes. So if you have something negative on your report right now, you can wait it out. 7 years later, it should drop off. Notice I use the word should, because what happens is they'll sell it to a collection company. And now that collection company thinks they have 7 years. And then the collection company will keep it 2 or 3 years. They'll bundle together and they'll sell it to another collection company. So it just stays on your report indefinitely, but it's supposed to go off the original default date. Everyone follow me so far? So what you have to do is you have to beat them at their own game. And this is where credit repair companies make their money. I have seen credit repair companies that are legitimate, that actually know what they're doing, charge $1,500 to $2,000 to dig into your file and to improve your credit. There's two things that have to happen. One, we have to get negative items off. Two, we have to get positive items on. So if someone has nothing but bad credit and nothing good on their credit report, even if we get the bad stuff off, we still got to build things up. Now, back in the day when I had my mortgage company, I think I've used this analogy more than once, but if you came across my desk and you wanted to buy a house and you made enough money to buy the house, I got you into a home. I had a 90% success rate. That's going to happen. How long that took really depends on where you were when I got you. But I've taken people from 550 to 750 in 90 days. Sometimes they take 6 months. I've had to take an actual year. The point is, they're going to buy a house. They might as well buy it with me. I'm not going to discard them. Now, back in the day, computer-generated letters didn't work as well as they do today. I'll explain that here in a few minutes. But I physically hired 3 girls in the office. Their job during downtime, they were my processors, my mortgage loan processors. And in their downtime, they hand wrote letters to the credit bureaus. Dear Equifax, I was never late on this account. And they would send them off on behalf of my clients because I got their scores up for them. It wasn't, and I didn't charge them a dime to do that. Why? Because I had like a $5,000 to $8,000 commission on the back end. Let's roll. So what I'm going to show you today is a service that you can provide your clients where we're not actually charging them to do the credit repair. And I did that as a benefit to you guys. I'm not producing real estate no more. I don't need this. You guys need this because I get emails continuously and people are like, got a bunch of leads, Dwayne, got a bunch of bad credit. What do you want me to do? You know, it's just a numbers game. I can't control who responds, who doesn't respond, who has good or have bad credit. But I have seen that more and more people, especially first-time home buyers, are falling into that I don't pay my bill trap than they were 10 years ago. And I believe it's because of parental upbringing. I believe they haven't been taught how to actually do it. So we're going to talk about this website, which basically replaces the 3 girls that I had hourly. We're going to share my screen up here. It's called downpaymentsolutions.org. Let me make sure I have sound here. Yeah, I have sound. Okay. All right. So when they get to this site, they got a little intro video. I'll go ahead and play it for you.
You no longer need to pay expensive credit repair companies hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to fix your credit. Our easy-to-use and fully automated credit repair system is completely free, guiding you step by step and automatically analyzing your credit reports so you can quickly understand what is negatively affecting your score. The software intelligently walks you through the simple process of submitting high-impact credit dispute letters, all with one click of the mouse. Throughout your entire journey, we will be by your side, providing you monthly updates, letting you know what accounts have been removed, along with what your updated credit scores are. This is by far the fastest, easiest, and most effective way to repair your credit, all at no cost. You no longer need to pay expensive credit repair.
All right. So this is a side-by-side comparison. There's 2 things part of fixing credit. The first one is paying a company to actually do the work. And the second one is we have to have a credit monitoring service because every 30 days we got to pull these bureaus to see where we're at. So regardless if they spent $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, if they went with Lexington Law Firm, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes, they still have to have something monitoring their credit. So we're not going to charge them a setup fee. We're not going to charge them a monthly fee, but we are going to charge them a $29.95 a month monthly credit monitoring fee. There's no profit in here. This is a pass-through. I'm not making money on this. But every 30 days, I need to know where they're at so we can know what we need to actually do. So I put a little paragraph here in why it's free. I do believe that everyone is entitled to an accurate credit report. We walk them through the process to help them as long as they need us. The only thing required is to pay the credit monitoring subscription. And as we work toward the financial goals, we'll recommend credit building offers like credit cards and loans. That's coming soon. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And if you choose any of these tailored offers, compensates us. All right. So basically what happens here is they skip the expensive credit repair companies. And when they start, what's going to happen is we're going to pull all three of their bureaus. And then they will select the items that they feel are inaccurate, all of them. And then the system knows which creditor it is, which collection company it actually is. And because of that, we know which buttons to press with these guys. Because a lot of these companies have been sued multiple times, some of them in class and action lawsuits, because they're reporting stuff that they're not allowed to report. They're reporting stuff over 10 years old, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the system will look to see what's on there, who the creditor is, and will spit out round one letters. Now, the customer has two options. They can print the letters from their home computer, make a copy of their driver's license, a utility bill, validate who they are, and they can send the letter off to the credit bureau. Or I partnered with a third-party company that will actually send the letter out on their behalf. It's a couple bucks. It's not very expensive. Again, it's pass through. We're not making any money on this. Hell, I probably should make money on this if I get rich doing this right here. A lot of people back credit, right? But it's a pass through. So if they're like, I don't have a printer, I don't want to print it, I can't make it in the post office, they can click a couple buttons and we'll actually do it for them. In 30 days, we're going to repull the bureau and we're going to see what happened. Now, if you've been following what's going to happen in the first 30 days, how much stuff is coming off that report in the first 30 days? Put it in the comments down below. That's right, Trudy. Absolutely nothing. So you need to educate the person you put through this what's happening and why it's happening. They're still going to get the blow-off letter. But 30 days later, we're going to repull bureau, and we're going to turn up the heat on every individual letter. Mr. Creditor, Mr. Collection Company, we sent you a letter 30 days ago. You sent me a validation saying that you looked into this and you've addressed it. Can you please provide me the name and the number of the person that you spoke with, because this is inaccurate? According to the Fair National Debt Collection Procedure Act, you may be in violation of section blah, 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 blah. We turn up the heat. And each individual letter gets stronger, stronger, and stronger. And what happens is eventually an employee at the credit bureau is going to get that, punch in the social, and realize that we are in round 4, we are in round 5, that we're about to get nasty with them. We're about to start threatening lawsuits. And rather than actually dig in and validate the information, which they don't have the manpower to do, what do they end up doing by default? Put in the comments below. What do you think they end up doing? They just remove it. They release. That's right. They get it off the report. I have seen collections, charge-offs, bankruptcies, tax liens. I've seen anything and everything come off the report. So when you're talking to your clients, you're going to explain that they have the right to be able to dispute these items. And the way I would explain it to people is, if someone were to receive a DUI, they do have the right to represent themselves in court. It's probably not a good idea. So they have the right to dispute these credit letters themselves. Dispute these by sending in letters. But what the heck are they going to do round 2, 3, and 4? That's why they want to have a professional do it. And with you, we're going to do it for them for free. They just got to subscribe to credit monthly monitoring. There's no contract, and they can drop it whenever they want. Let's go into some frequently asked questions that we get about this. How does the service work? when you sign up for the service, you must choose the items appearing on your credit report that you feel are inaccurate, unfair, or questionable. Then you can contact your creditors to demand they remove a correction. If the creditors not fix the mistakes, you can put up the pressure and give new information on why this should be removed from your report. Additionally, we provide recommendations on products such as low interest cards, personal loans, auto home loans. I'll get there in a minute. How much does the service cost? We partner with a company called MyScore Now, $29.95 a month. Again, there's no upsell. I could upsell that. I chose not to. I just wanted to be a pass through. Customers can receive results in little as 45 days. This is rare, but it does happen. Typically about 90 days. 3 to 4 months is typically when we see enough stuff coming off where it actually makes an impact. Why is it better than hiring a credit repair company? Because it's free. And then another thing to explain to your customers is the way I would explain it is I say, listen, I'm not sure if you understand how realtors get paid, but we actually get paid when I get you a house, not by you. So I'm never going to give you any information which is contradictory to us both accomplishing our goals. This is how I feed my family. I do earn a commission. The secret behind that. And you want to buy a house. So I'm never going to tell you anything that's going to be contradictory and slow that process down. Does that make sense? And the reason you're doing that is because sometimes, well, not sometimes, I'm sugarcoating things. Credit, for the most part, is a behavior issue. It is not an income issue. I've seen doctors and lawyers and chiropractors that make a lot of money that don't pay their bills. And they don't blame themselves. They blame their accountant. And then I've seen people that are on Social Security that never missed a single payment in their entire life. I've seen people go pawn stuff to make sure that they didn't miss a payment because it was a priority to them. Here's my point. The same person that may have a $500 charge off from Sprint Wireless, and they said they're not paying it because that was their girlfriend's phone and she was supposed to pay the bill, is the same person that's probably not going to enroll in a $1,500 to $2,000 a month credit repair program, even though they should. Now, that being said, if you are thinking in the back of your mind, well, what if they don't want to spend $29.95 a month? Remember at the very beginning when I said you can lead a horse to water? All you can do is educate them, give them enough information to make an informed, intelligent decision. But at the end of the day, if they're not willing to spend a whopping $30 a month and let us help them repair their credit for free, they're just not ready to be a homeowner. Does that make sense? What type of items can you delete? Anything, everything. It's on your credit report. You dispute. Can you guarantee them they're going to get approved for a home loan? That'd be no, absolutely not. You're not going to make guarantees because that's going to put us in hot water. I don't need people coming back to me trying to charge back $29.95 because they did it for 3 months and they don't have a 750 score. You explain to them that there's 2 ways to get your scores up. Take a negative stuff off, put a positive stuff on. There's 2 ways to do it. This is going to speed up the process. Credit report self-explanatory. What are the 3 bureaus? Who can see reports? Only they actually get to see the report. So as an agent, you don't actually get to see what's on the report. You will get to see their score, but you will not get to see what's actually on the report because that's a violation. Building credit. This is coming soon. I'm working with a couple of vendors right now. If you guys think your plate is full, sit at my desk for a little bit. So I'm developing some relationships with some companies that are, what's the word I'm looking for? More likely to approve people that have troubled credit on things to help them repair their credit and to report to their credit. As an example, I've got a company now that I think we finalized it yesterday, but now there's a fee associated with, so this isn't free. There's a fee associated, but they will report their last 24 months worth of rental history on their credit report. So that gives them a trade line with a 24-month history. Now they're going to validate it. They're going to send a VOR to their landlord or whatever, and they're going to validate it. But I'm also developing relationships with companies that will give out small loans, companies that will do secured visas and MasterCards. So we're giving them options if they have to build credit, is where I'm going with that. So rather than saying, hey, we're just gonna get everything off your report, if they don't have anything positive on there and we need to actually build the credit, we're gonna give them the tools that they actually need in order to make that happen. Now, as an agent on this program, you get your own login if you want to participate. This login is going to allow you to send your clients there, but more importantly, you get to see what their scores are when you first start, and you can set a target score. So you can tell the system, hey, when Bobby Jones here gets to X 600, 650, whatever the magic number is, please send me an email. It would also advise you if they miss a $29.95 payment. So if they sign up $29.95, the next month we hit them for $29.95, card doesn't go through, that's a clear indication that might be wiggling off the hook at that moment. You'll be alerted to let you know, it's like, hey, maybe you need to update your card. Let's keep you going. That way we're maximizing the chance that they actually turn into a client. So it's extremely important that when you're doing this, that you tell your lender to not discuss credit repair with them, because they think they know what they're doing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't know what they're doing. I have made hundreds and thousands of dollars doing what I'm teaching you to do right now. So when you're working with your lender, all you want to ask your lender is, do they debt to income ratio? Do they make enough money to afford the house? You don't give a tar what their score is. If they got a 300 score, but they make $150,000 a year, I'm getting them in a house. So just ask, do they debt to income ratio? If they say yes, then say, hey, listen, if this person doesn't credit qualify now because of score, please do not talk to them about rescoring options. Just let me know that they don't qualify, but they make enough money, and I'll take it from there. Thank you, Mr. Loan Officer. That's it. Now, how do you present this to the buyer or potential buyer? Let me tell you what does not work. You do not call them on the phone and say, hey, buddy, sorry, got bad news. Doesn't look like you can credit qualify today, but don't worry about it. We're going to put you in a program for $29.95 a month, and we'll get them scores up. Let me send you a link. How do I know that doesn't work? Because I've tried it before with companies like Lexington Law Firm and stuff like that. Remember before when I said it's sometimes a behavior, I'm being sugarcoating things again. Sometimes, nope, there I go again. It's a behavior issue. It's not an income issue. Now, before someone sends me a hate email that says, listen, I know someone or even yourself that you had great credit and you had medical problems and that bad things happen to good people. I get it. But I've had the displeasure of pulling more credit reports than you can possibly see or imagine. It's a behavior issue. So here's what you do instead. After you send them to the lender and the lender says, makes enough money, we don't have the score, you're going to call them up and you'll say, hey, looks like we might be able to get you into a house. What you doing on Saturday? Let's go take a look at a couple properties. Now, did you lie? Did you say when you're going to get into a house? You did not. So all you're going to say is, hey, I spoke with John. Looks like we might be able to get you into a house. A couple details we need to talk about, but what are you doing on Saturday? Let's get you out there and start looking at a couple properties. Guess what? If you had a buyer that hasn't met you yet and you talk to them that way, guess where they're going to be on Saturday? Where you tell them to be. What we're doing is we're allowing them to dream. You cannot do this over the phone. It does not work. So meet them at a couple properties. You're not burning a tank of gas. That's financial suicide. $5 a gallon. Well, it came down a little bit, but you're not doing that. Show 2 or 3 homes max. And then that third home, here's how you transition. First of all, you're going to bring a laptop with you. What are you going to bring with you? Put in the comments down below. And you're going to make sure that you have internet access. Even to the point, if you have to go get a darn hotspot and keep it with you, tap off your phone, you need to be able to get online. And this is exactly what you're going to say. Pen and piece of paper, because I'm going to talk fast. Hey, if this was the house that you fell in love with and you wanted to submit an offer, we're actually not in a position to do that today. Let me explain to you why. Your income is great, but the lender says we got to get your scores up. Now, it doesn't really matter to me what your score is today. What I do know is I'm the one that can actually help you. It doesn't matter to me what's happened in the past, because I understand that bad things happen to good people. But in order to buy a house, we got to get your score to a 620, 650, whatever. And currently you're around a 580. This is what we're going to do. There's two ways we can accomplish this. First of all, I want you to understand that you have the right as a consumer to dispute anything and everything that's on your credit report. So if you pulled your report and you didn't think that you were late on this payment, or that account doesn't look familiar, or you've never had a bankruptcy, or whatever's on your credit report, you have the right by law to make them investigate. Bobby, let me ask you a question. These credit bureaus receive hundreds and thousands of these letters on a continuous basis. Do you think they have the manpower to actually dispute that information, validate it, and let you know that it's true and accurate? Of course they don't. And that's why when the average consumer like yourself takes it upon yourself to do credit repair, you send a letter in, but then you're going to get what's called a blow-off letter. And the blow-off letter basically says, hey, we got your information, we validated it, it's true and accurate. Thank you for your, for your email. I mean, for your letter. The question is, what do you do around 2, 3, and 4? It's kind of like getting a DUI. If that ever happened, you're allowed to represent yourself in court. It's probably not a good idea. Now, what a lot of companies are going to do is they're going to charge you for this credit repair because they have the knowledge. They know what to say and how to say it. So they're going to charge you, and I've seen it in excess of $1,500 to $2,500 to repair your credit. It's probably not the news that you wanted to hear today. But the good news is, by working with me, I'm going to help you repair your credit for free. And we're going to get those scores up. And here's how we're going to do it. I've got a website. It's called downpaymentsolutions.org. Right now, you and I are going to log on, and we're going to get this process started. Because the quicker we get it started, the faster I actually get you the results. And what's going to happen is we're going to pull all 3 of your bureaus, and we're going to tell you exactly what to send to each one of these, because our system is going to spit out letters on your behalf. And in about 30 days, we're going to pull it again, and we're going to keep that process going until we've done 2 things. We've got most of the majority of your negative items off the credit report, and we're highlighting the positive credit. Now, if we don't have any positive credit that's kind of bringing your scores down, I'm going to have solutions in place to make that actually happen for yourself. So here's the point. We're not in a position to buy a house today, but I am going to get you into a house. The quicker we get started, the quicker I'm actually get you into a home. Can I earn your business today? And can you put your faith and trust into me to help you become a homeowner? And you stare at them. Can you imagine some person that's going to say, no, Dwayne, you're whack? Great. I knew you were smart. Let's get started. Pull out your laptop, pull the sucker up, go to the link, and make them fill it out right then and right there at the darn kitchen table. That's how you do it. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not that bold, Dwayne. You'll learn to get there. When you are leaders, we lead from the front. And when we lead from the front, you get the most arrows in the back. It is okay to push people as long as you're pushing them in the right direction. So again, this is something that I created for you guys to help you out. I'm expecting no compensation in return. So if you want to participate, I need you to send me an email. Put it down here right now. I had a form going, but the darn form decided not to work this morning. So I'm like, what happened there? Send an email to support@agenttorainmaker.com. Shannon, I'm not going back through these messages. Nice try. send me an email to support@agentterrainmaker.com saying, Dwayne, I want to do the credit repair thing. We will set you up a username, password, send you those credentials in the back of the office. I'll have it accomplished within a week, and you guys can be off to the races. So moving forward, I'd like to answer any questions that you may have about the process. So we're all clear if you want to participate. So who's got the first question? You can unmute yourself and ask, or feel free to put it into the chat. Cue the Jeopardy music. Man, was my presentation that good? I just explained it all. That's great. So if we're all good, we'll end the call. But if not, I want to make sure we answer any questions that you have. Is it possible to link? What do you mean by link, Kim? What's up, near Disney? Link them to a lender. Yeah, it is actually. So let's say that you talk to John or whatever, and you want to be notified when they actually get to that score they need, right? So you can put your lender's information in there to be notified as well. Yeah. Thank you, Trudy. By the way, hope you had a good vacation. I know your ads got turned on, I think yesterday. I think I've already saw some leads come through for you. So we're off to the races there, right? Kim, so I'm hoping you have a lender you can recommend. I've got several lenders. Different lenders do different things. People are different niche. John Koska does a really good job on niches. So if you get someone that's, especially if they're a veteran, he can actually get a 500 credit score done on veterans. So send an email to support, say, hey, I need John's information. We'll bat it back to you. He does a really good job. Everyone else, it's good that you develop a relationship, have a good relationship with a working lender there. But we have several lenders that are actually in the group. I don't push them on you guys because I don't, rest my thing. And I was like, you got to use this lender. But John does a good job if you get someone that's kind of and doesn't really kind of fit the mold. But they do. But every lender, including John, does a horrible job with credit repair. They just run them through, and that did a really bad job. So even when he and I started developing our relationship, I was repairing people, for my clients. And he's like, what are you doing that? They don't pay the bills. Tell them to come back in a year. And I'm like, whatever, dude. So let me get their scores up, and then we'll get you into a house. Now, also, imagine this. Imagine someone really wants to buy a house. Well, I'll tell you a true story. My very first home that I bought, I was told not to have credit. So I pretty much paid cash for like everything. My parents were like anti-credit. Probably smart, to be honest with you. But the point is I went to go buy the first house, and I was a ghost. Does anyone know what that means? I'm 25 years old, and there's nothing on my credit report. I am a complete ghost. And I literally went through 4 or 5 different realtors. I wanted to buy a house. They asked me what my score was. Like, out of the gate, what's your score? And I told them I don't have, I've never had credit before. But they all discarded me. But I had one girl. And she goes, do you have any alternate trade lines? I said, what do you mean? She said, well, have you paid your rent on time? Have you paid I'm going to age myself here. She's like, I had my AOL bill that was paid on time for years. Right. So she put me with a FHA lender that would build a credit report back in those days. And I ended up getting into a house through alternate trade lines. The point is this, that really was preparatory for me even getting involved with real estate, because I thought it was a horrible experience. And because she educated me is why I'm really big on education today. So the point is when you educate these people and they flip and they buy, and because everyone else discarded them, you created a fan for life. You have no concept. You think you may know. I'm going to tell you right now, you have no idea how many people they're going to refer to you. It was when you take somebody that 5 other agents said that they can't buy, and you take them underneath your wing and you make them a homeowner, and you start putting that out on social media, they will tell all their friends and all their family about you, and you will be absolutely inundated and slammed with business. Because who knows this to be a true statement? Your income is typically an average of the top 5 people that you hang around. It's a true statement. So the point is people that can't buy a house hang out with people that can't buy a house. And when they buy a house, all the friends go, how in the world did that girl buy a house? And they will start asking questions and you will start getting referred out. Again, I'm not targeting these people. I'm not running Facebook ads saying I am your savior. But if they come across my desk, I have 2 choices. I either work with them or I discard them. I choose to be a professional and work with them. All right, guys, support@agenttorainmaker.com. Any other questions at all? All right, guys, you have a powerful tool. If I had this at the very beginning, I wouldn't be having to pay girls hourly to actually do this. So I hope you saw the value in that. And whoever sends the email, I'll make sure that's done within a week or so. If you're watching the replay right now, because you couldn't make it today, no biggie, still send an email to support@agenttorainmaker.com and we'll get you taken care of. All right, guys, everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next week.